From South Africa. We're super excited to share with you a couple different things today. I actually have been teaching on a couple things over the past few weeks regarding actually prioritizing things in our lives and actually understanding this concept of exponential growth. I wanted to put this on here specifically because I was very, very inspired by Dani and Diane McDaniel. They basically were teaching on the 17th law from the book of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell, the law of priority. And so one of the things that we did is we taught a little bit about this last week on a couple different things, but I want to share our story a little bit too, but I want to share with you what what can look like for you in the next 5 years. And really, we talk about a 2 to 5 year program, and we're on a 5 year track to literally do something like we've never done in my entire lives, and we've actually have had tremendous success. But I'm going to play a video for you, and I want you to think about this. I'm going to play a little snippet from the teaching that Dani and Diane did, specifically on what if. What if someone offered you this opportunity, not this opportunity, but offered an opportunity to generate a certain amount of income in 5 years? What would you say? How would you reprioritize your life? What would your shift be like? But I want you to watch this real quick, but it's very, very powerful what they explain here. And then we'll go back and talk a little bit more about the law of exponential growth and what happens here as well.
Let me ask you this. If I could promise you, if I could promise you that I'm going to pay you $75,000 a month if you stick with me for 5 years. By the end of the 5th year, I'm going to pay you a minimum of $75,000 a month. Would you stay with me? Everybody says yes. Like what? You're hired. Okay. Yeah, I'll come work for you. You promise me you're going to give me a contract. You're going to say this in the contract. Yes, I'm writing it in the contract. I'm going to pay you 75 grand in 5 years. By the end of 5 years, we're going to start you right now at this level, but I'm going to give you raises every year. I'm going to get you to 75 grand a month in salary here working for me. They all say yes. Okay, you have to employ yourself mentally like that.
That's powerful. So again, I want you to think about this because a lot of times people think of this as a small business because it has a small investment. I mean, if you had to invest $1 million, if you had to leverage your house, leverage everything you had, literally risk everything, would you treat this business with priority? And that's something that happened for us, my wife and myself. We literally, as at the very first function we went to actually the This Is It team convention, or This Is It convention that they had in August of 2023, that we finally said, that's it. We're prioritizing this. We put God first, family second, our jobs third, and basically the fourth was this business. And I said, I'm going to take all the other things that we're working on that were basically distractions, and that's really what it is. There's all these distractions, different things that are basically helping, that were keeping us away from what we really wanted to do, is to make a global impact and become world changers. And that's really what we're talking about. And so when we did that, within 3 months, that was August. So August, September, October, by basically end of November, I'd replaced my 6-figure income. We weren't even close to that. We basically 5x what we were making. We were making about $500 a month. We started making over $2,500 a month in November, and I was able to basically several months later walk into freedom, fire my job, and at this point in time, we've quadrupled our income, and it's growing by leaps and bounds. So when Dani talks about that, that's where we're all headed. But the thing is, are you making this a priority? Are you still doing all these other things on the side? What's taking your time away from yourself to basically focus in on this? And this doesn't take a lot of focus. It takes basically consistency of basically 5 contacts a day, following 5 people today, and showing a presentation pretty much every day. That's what we do, and we tell people all the time, this is the game plan. If we start duplicating that, that's when everything changes. So you're going to want to watch the video. I'm actually going to connect the link to basically about 16-minute video that actually Dani and Diane did on the whole law of priority, because there's a lot of great nuggets in there. But I want to talk a little bit about this because I want you to imagine what life would be like at $75,000 a month. That's $900,000 a year. That's making almost $1 million a year. Imagine growing it from there, right? Now, again, would you set everything aside? Now, the part that I always look at is I always think about this business is literally something where basically it doesn't take a lot of time per week. It might take 10 hours a week to build it on a serious basis. You might take 15 hours a week. They say 10 to 15 hours a week to build this business to a very successful level just by focusing on that. So I want you to think about this a second. We're going to take a concept here that we talked about this past couple of weeks in our leadership meeting. But I want you to really think about this from a business standpoint. I want you to think about it from, once again, our whole goal is duplication. Our whole goal is to really focus on basically looking for 100 other people that basically that want to do what we're doing. He said, I'd rather 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own. J. Paul Getty was the first U.S. billionaire. Now, back in those days, a billionaire was a very rare thing because he was the first one in the United States to do that. But he understood the idea of duplication and the idea of leverage. And so, though you've heard this before, which would you rather have $1 million or a penny a day doubled? You may have heard of this. A lot of people go like, I'll take the $1 million, not realizing how powerful compounding works and how powerful basically exponential growth happens. And then once again, when you look at the days in this, once again, you look at by day one, you got 1%, 2%, but by basically day 10, you're like, this is stupid. Why didn't I take $1 million? By even day 17, you're like, oh, I should take $1 million. By basically day 22, it's like, I still took $1 million, but look what happens. By the end of this, you make down day 30, you're making over $5 million. But the difference, if you calculate all this together, I don't know the numbers exactly, but it's like $8 or $10 million. So when you understand the numbers and what happens, but what if we took that concept? And I want you to think about this. There's a company out there that literally is the largest network marketing company, multi-level marketing company in the world. It's the Amway Corporation. And they got basically something that they talk about, once again, they call the China factor. And the China factor specifically is where the company itself was restricted in China. They said, if you want to reopen, because they were open in China, and they basically were working for years to reopen in China. And China said, we're going to put a restriction on them, and that they could only have, they call them independent business owners, IBOs. You could only register, if you're an IBO, you could only register one IBO per month. Now imagine if that happened with LifeWave. Imagine LifeWave saying, you can only register one person a month. Well, the Chinese aren't foolish. They're very smart people. They literally interviewed 10, 20, 50 people, in a month, maybe 100 people in a month, and found the best candidate, picked one out of all those people and said, I'm going to work with you. And literally they said, the two of us are going to basically do the same thing this next month, interview all these people, and basically now we're going to have 4, and then we're going to have 8, then we're going to have 16 and 32 and 64 and everything else. They today make about half the volume of the corporation, of the Amway Corporation, because they have grown exponentially. And so when you understand that idea and that concept, again, we're not restricted like that, but I want you to think about it from developing a leader per month. And that's what we're going to talk about. So what I want you to think about is, from a business standpoint, what if we could basically take the idea of exponential growth? Some people say, what is exponential growth? Well, we all know addition. 10 plus 10 equals 20. Then imagine you having 10 clients, and now you want to add 10 more clients in the next 90 days, as an example, or whatever your goal is, right? And now by that time you have basically now have 10 more clients, you're basically adding, so you have 20 clients. Now multiplication, imagine 10 people finding 10 new clients. Now it's 10 times 10, which is basically 100. Well, imagine what we have here. We become a brand partner, and now we can bring on as many brand partners as we want to, but imagine each of us bringing on 10, who then bring on 10, who then bring on 10, who bring on 10, who bring on 10, bring on 10. Basically, you can get to basically 10 billion. You wonder why our business is exploding, because of this concept of basically exponential growth. How does Steve and Gina Merritt have almost 700,000 people in their team in 3.5 years? Because they basically understand exponential growth. They're finding and identifying leaders. So what I want to do is basically talk to you about this specifically, that this is a system that allows you to duplicate your efforts. You already know that. If you've sponsored any one person who's actually building this business, you understand that. Now you have people you may have brought in that are just customers, and that's, they haven't really sponsored anybody, or maybe they haven't led you to anybody else. But as soon as you find other leaders, you realize how quickly this picture can happen for you, which is pretty amazing. So again, we have that ability to make $75,000 a month. We have the ability to make $75,000 a week, right? We have the ability to make whatever you want to, because we have an unlimited matching bonus program. And this is critical for long-term thinking. I want you to think 5 years. I want you to think 10 years down the road. Don't be thinking next week, next month, whatever it is. You're going to do that. You're going to do the daily activity basically to do the different things. But I want you to think about, imagine finding people and leaders that are out there that are developing this business into huge businesses like a Dani McDaniel, because the person that basically sponsored him is Andy and Mandy Hosier, who was sponsored by Ken and Diana Burke, who sponsored us. Now imagine that, once again, Ken and Diana Burke, Andy, Mandy, and all them are looking at building massive businesses, big, huge teams, and you can make up to $20,000 per week. Think about this, $20,000 per week per person within that network. Now, I guarantee you, with Dani and Diane McDaniel are making a lot of money, and Ken's basically getting a percentage. He's making generous second level on that. He's getting 18% on what they're doing. So once again, I don't know if he's making it yet, but imagine making over $20,000 per person. Now, that's it's one example, but I want you to understand that came because someone overheard Ken talking about this product. I'm telling you right now, you're going to find people who know people who know people who know people that are going to build this business to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people around the world, if not millions of people around the world, like Steve and Gina. So I want you to think about this. Okay, so we're the team that we're part of. We're going to 1 million strong. But really, I saw this picture here because congratulations, Danny and Diane. They went 3-star presidential, highest rank in the company. Talking about being in the highest rank. So what I do, I put our picture right over their picture, put our name right over their name, and said, "This is where we're focused. This is where we're going in the next 12 to 24 months." So really, our goal is within 12 months to be basically a 3-star presidential. Is it going to take a lot of work? Yes. But how we're going to do that is we're basically going to identify and focus on helping people get to director. By doing that, we want to identify leaders that we already have. The second thing, you want to cast a vision of what you can achieve together. And the third thing, you want to help them move forward with the 10-step system and the 21-day fast start program. We're not going to teach on that now. We're going to be teaching that. You want to understand that all of this is available, that you can learn this and teach this to others, but you want to cast the vision of where you all can go together. So this is the game plan. This is the next game plan for the next 12 months that I want you to think about this, because we're going to follow the 10 steps of you. So you first have to determine your why. You've got to set your goals. You've got to make some commitments yourself, saying, you know what, I'm going to put all these other things on the shelf, and I'm not going to focus on all these distractions, because there's a lot of distractions out there. There's a lot of opportunities that come to our way and everything else. I'm like, nope, focused, right? And so what you want to do, though, is build a list, contact, invite, share the opportunity every day. Revisit and follow with people every day. Once again, we talk about 5 people a day, right? And getting started on the extra, we'll help them get started, counsel, upline, and duplicate the system. So imagine focusing on all these people. You talk to all these different people, and you want to identify one leader this month. This month, you want to identify one leader. So once again, now you basically help those people. Now you're going to have 2 leaders, right? Basically help them do the exact same thing, like that China factor I talked about. And then it's going to be 4 and 8, 16, 32. So this is all we're going to do. We're focusing on this. Is exactly what Danny and Diane have done. Steve and Gina Meriden, they focus on leaders, and they take 20%. Basically, they focus the majority of their time on the 20% of the people that are the leaders. That's what they do. That's what we're doing. We're identifying people right now, going, looking for people who are the leaders who want to run forward. It's not the ones who are just talking about it. It's the ones who say, I'm doing this, and they start putting the activity in and start doing things and duplicating themselves and learning and growing. And that's what you want. So again, I told you about this before. This is a matching bonus that we can earn as much as we want. And I want you to understand that if you just study just this one way of 9 ways that we make money, right? There's 9 ways, but imagine this one way can literally set you and your family free financially forever if you understand the concept of what we're talking about here. So how we do this, we put the names on a list. We're going to write down every single person we know. We're going to get people out of the phone as quickly as possible and make a list. And imagine, there's another imagination. Imagine that I was going to give you $100 bill. I don't have my card with me. I usually have my book with me that basically has, I got $100 bills, a bookmarker now. $100 for every single person, every name and phone number that you put down. What that does is stops you from prejudging, because even people you'll know, you go, I don't like this person, I don't want to work with this person, but you still put their name, like they're worth $100 bill. So they put your name and phone number. You can put even a line through the name, but you put that person's name down. But you think about, who else do I know that knows that individual? Most people have hundreds of people, some people thousands of people that they have in their phones, on social media, things like that. You want to make a list. I'm in the process of actually adding people on the list every single day, because that's what we're doing. We want to make a list of people. So at least 100, bare minimum. I think there's 25 different slots on here. You want to do at least 4 of these pages, maybe 5 of these pages, right? Bare minimum to start. And then you're going to start identifying who you want to start working with, right? So the key to this is having the dogged determination that you're going to run with this like never before. Right now, it's a week before Christmas. 'Twas the week before Christmas and all through the house, right? So it's a week before Christmas, 2025. We've only got basically 2 weeks left of the year. And I want you to think about what can happen in the last 2 weeks, but also how you're going to set yourself up for 2026 to succeed in a huge way. But think about 5 years from now. You got basically mentioned 2030. It's now a week before Christmas, 2030. Where are you going to be financially? I know where we're going to be. I can tell you right now, we're going to be multi-millionaires every year, if you know what I mean, from this business. Why? Because we're running with this and we're not playing with it. So last thing I want you to think about is, this came from Ricardo Ivory sent this morning, or actually yesterday. It's called The Recruiter's Creed. Now again, it's kind of hard to read on here, so I broke it down and I'm going to write down, and I modified it. I talked about 2 a day. I did 5 a day. I'm just putting it, you can put in whatever number you want, but I'm going to recommend that you read this daily. This is something that you want to read. So all it is, I got to move myself out of the way here. So once again, it says, I know that to gain freedom and truly desire, freedom, what I truly desire, I must recruit daily. Freedom will never come from my laborers alone. I agree that I must attract and build a team of like-minded, ambitious go-getters who also want leveraged income to create freedom for their families. I recognize that in order to attract other people to my business, I must become more attractive. Every day I need to put my best self forward and consistently improve. I need to be absorbing good books and audios every day because that which I feed my brain will also come across in my conversations. I promise to read and listen to personal development at least 10 minutes every day. I demand of myself a focus on being a better listener and talking less. I know that I need to stop convincing and start solving. I'm genuinely interested in learning about other people's lives and helping them see solutions to make their lives better. Next. I have a precise plan, proven system that I'm committed to follow. I will not look at new ideas, but instead I will remain 100% coachable to do what my mentors have taught. I know that because the system has already worked for many, I will absolutely work for me too. I will always lead by example. I cannot expect others to do what I'm doing for myself. I will prospect at least 5 new people every day. I will not go to sleep without having done so. I know this is not a trivial commitment, but rather a requirement for success. I will do my 5 a day, and therefore I will create an army of others doing the same. This will create momentum in my business. Last but not least, I live a code where I always tell the truth. I do not need to tell false stories because the truth about my opportunity is good enough. Time will always promote to or expose to everyone. So always look forward to being promoted for those who do good that I represent. I will sign my name to this formula. I recommend doing that. And I will read it out loud every day. I believe in my heart that the daily repetition of this creed will cause its truths to grow roots into my soul and shine into the world constantly through my daily words and actions, to say words. I'm 100% confident that I'm building my empire through this formula. Now I added to this, I want you to see this. May God daily give me his favor, divine appointments, and bless me and my efforts as I speak to new people daily about this opportunity. Now, I put this in here specifically because I want you to understand that there is a vow you got to take. There's a creed you got to have. You got to have something in your spirit that says, I'm doing this daily. I'm going to make an impact on people daily. And then we ask for God to do our favor. We talk about kingdom business, right? So what we want to do is basically, we part of God's kingdom. For us personally, that's our beliefs where we're at. We want to help as many people as possible. But we're praying for you that you literally say, you know what, I've got all these different distractions, all these other things are going on, even during the holidays, a lot of these things are going on, but what you want to do is prioritize every day, talk to 5, follow up with 5, and show a presentation at least to 1 person per day. By doing that, you'll be shocked what happens. You promote everybody to get on the Zooms, promote everybody to get on the different things. You'll be shocked at how many leaders you're going to start finding right away. So again, I just want to share that with you, but I want you to imagine that in the next 5 years, you're making over $75,000 a month. How willing are you to be consistent? Are you willing to stick with us for the next 5 years and work with us to help you accomplish dreams like never before? So God bless you. We want you to live your dreams because you are world changers and we want you to succeed. So God bless you. Have an amazing Christmas, have an amazing holiday, but we'll be talking to you every